Greetings, Mathies. Well, now that we know about congruency, we're going to move along to similar polygons. Here we go. And it was so nice. I actually had a s'more this weekend with a little fire out back. All right. So you're going to want to have the notes similar polygons. And similar polygons are going to be two shapes that basically one is just bigger than the other. And as it grows proportionately. So we're going to fill in the blanks at the top here. Two polygons with congruent corresponding angles. So those don't change. Those angles are going to stay equal to each other. But what happens is that the corresponding sides are going to be proportional to each other. Okay, so they give you an example. This is a quadrilateral. And notice that they just use the tilde symbol. It's just the symbol. When we knew that they were congruent, we would have that equal with the tilde on top. Okay, so you can see that we have all these corresponding angles. Now I'm going to actually make arcs for those because, again, I think that really helps you visually, is having the same number of arcs, the same number of tick marks. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So angle A corresponds with angle E. Angle B corresponds with F. I'm going to put 2 arcs. C with G, 3. And then D with H. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a little crazy there. They're kind of tight. Okay, so corresponding sides. So I don't make tick marks for those. And here's the reason why. If I put a tick mark for AB and then a tick mark for EF, that would indicate that they are equal. And they're not. They're in proportion. So the only markings we're going to make right now are just for those angles. Okay, and eventually we're going to figure out what's called scale factor, and that's the ratio. And the ratio is just a comparison of two numbers. We're going to compare a side of the longer, a longer side of the bigger figure, and we're going to compare that to the shorter corresponding side. All right, so how do we determine if two shapes are indeed similar? Okay, so here's the steps that we need to do. So identify your pairs of corresponding sides, and look at it says to use your corresponding angles. And you're going to notice down below all the figures have that all ready to go, which is really nice. You're going to set up a fraction for each pair, and then we're going to simplify. So make sure you have your calculator ready. And the nice thing that I did, just to save time on the video, is I went ahead and wrote those corresponding sides. So feel free to pause the video and get those written down. Okay, so we're going to fill in the lengths of each of these sides. So I knew that RS, 2 arcs, 3 arcs, was going to be corresponding with XY. Oh, 2 arcs, 1 arc. 2 arcs, 1 arc. There I go. And then I've got RT is corresponding to XZ. So RT, so it was 2 to 3, 2 to 3. And then ST, 1 to 3, 1 to 3. So that's how I knew how to match up those corresponding sides. Now I'm just going to fill in the lengths of those. All right, RS is 10. XY is 8. RT, 20, XZ is 16, and then ST is 15, and YZ is 12. Okay, so here's what we're wondering. Are all of those indeed in proportion with each other? All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my calculator, and I am going to just type in 10 divided by 8, and I get 1.25. And then I will take 20 divided by 16. Okay, 1.25, so far so good. But we have to make sure all of them have that proportion. Okay, let's try the last one. 15 divided by 12. Cool. All right, so they are all in proportion, 1.25. So I'm going to put a big yes here. These two shapes are similar. Because they are similar, let's say we had something that was missing. Well, now we would be able to set up a proportion and solve for that missing side, and we'll do that on the next video. All right, let's check out 2. So we have what seems to be 2 rectangles. You can see that we have 90-degree angles. So I matched up corresponding sides. WX is that shorter side of the rectangle, so I matched that up with AB. And then ZW was the longer side of the rectangle, and I matched that up with AD. So now I'm just going to fill in the values. Okay, so we're matching up. 15 would correspond with 10, 20 with 15. I mean, we're going to check it out and see how it goes. Okay, let's go 15 divided by 10. That gives us 1.5. And 20 divided by 15. Oh, okay. You know, I kind of thought in my head, yeah, maybe those are going to be similar, but when we divide it out, yeah, it's just not quite in proportion. It's very dang close, but it has to be exact. So I'm going to put a slash through that equal sign, and then I am going to put no, that these are not similar. And because they're not similar, then if we had a missing side, we just would not be able to set up a proportion to be able to solve for a missing side. Okay, let's try this last shape. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a funky quadrilateral. Now it's nice, they have all of our angles labeled. We do have a 90-degree angle, but then we can see what are corresponding. And that's how I was able to come up with the corresponding sides. Okay, so again, if you need to pause the video, just jot those down. And then we are going to see if those reduce, those ratios reduce to the same. We'll see. Okay, FE is 8, KJ is 2, GF 6 to 3, LM 9. Oh, let's see. I wanted to go, I think, GH. Okay, so I'm going to switch this. Okay, kind of happens. I want to go from the bigger one to the smaller one. Okay, so I just switched those up. So 9 will go on the bottom, 18 on top. And then EH, 18. JM is 12. So I can kind of already see that this, I just don't think these are all going to be the same. Okay, so 8 divided by 2 is 4. This one is 2, so you can just tell right away this is 2. And then, oh boy, 18 to 12. Let's check that one out. 18 divided by 12. I mean, that's a ratio of 1.5. They are just really just not in proportion whatsoever. So just because it looks similar doesn't necessarily mean that it is similar. So things aren't always going to be drawn to scale. So that's why we have to use our math, simplify those ratios just to determine if shapes are indeed similar or not. So what you're going to do, there's an activity to follow up with this, and you are going to determine which shapes are similar to each other. So you are just going to match up those corresponding sides and simplify and just try to get similar shapes matched up.